Alrighty gang, so this lesson is a slight detour from what we've been doing. It is going to come back to working with a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing next week, but it sort of sidetracks from the inverse stuff and goes back mostly to things that we already knew. You should recognize the word factoring. That's when we had our double bubble, we got to get two numbers to multiply to the last number, but also add or subtract to the middle number type of thing. So you should have done a few bell word problems. These are special factoring cases, so ones that are a little bit different than the other ones and have a little bit more special rules. So first of all, whenever you see this is kind of different from what we're used to. Usually we've got something that might look like, I don't know, I'm just going to make something up, like that. Okay, you've got an x squared, you've got an x, and you've got a constant at the end. Okay, when you look at this one up above, we're missing that x term in the middle. So in your notes, you're going to fill in this. This is really what that problem is. There is an x there. I know some of you tend to think that it's 1x. Remember, if there was 1x there, it would have 1x. If there's nothing in the middle here, it's really this guy. There's a plus 0x. Remember, anything times 0 is 0, so that's why they just get rid of it. But in reality, it is kind of there. It's hiding in the middle. So in your notes, fill it in on the very top part where that big box is. And then we're going to use that to kind of help us as we go into the rest of the factoring. So for example 1, let's rewrite that. If there's nothing in the middle there, let's put 0x. Alright, now I can start to treat it like I usually do. Remember, we make a t-chart for the last number. Alright, well I have 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. Those are my only options. And I gotta make my double bubbles. I know x goes in the front. And I gotta figure out what two numbers subtract, because it's -4. What two numbers subtract to get 0? Well, 1 minus 4 is either 3 or -3, so that doesn't work. And 2 minus 2, there I go, there's my 0. So I know it's 2 and 2 here. That's what makes this special, is we're using the same number twice. Now, I gotta get it to make 0. Alright, well I know it's -4. So in your head, try and think back. If it's -4, should I have the same signs? Like positive times positive, negative times negative? Or should I have different signs? Positive times negative, or negative times positive? And hopefully you said different signs. To get a negative number, we need different signs. It means one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. Well, usually we have to kind of play around with the numbers and figure out how to get them equal 0, but they're the same exact numbers, so it doesn't really matter which one's positive and which one's negative. I just have to make sure there's one of each. And if I check, it should work out. When I multiply everything back, x times x is x squared. X times -2 is -2x. That's 2x, and that's 4. All right, well, look at the middle section. Plus 2 is 0. That's where we get the 0 from. All right, so anytime you see an x squared and then minus a number at the end, it's probably going to look like this. And usually it's a perfect square. If you look at all of our other examples, 64, 36, 144, they're all perfect squares, and that's because it's the same number twice. And I just erased to get rid of the stuff at the bottom, but you really need to have that part. That's the answer to your problem. Make sure you put equals y. I almost forgot that part. Okay, feel free to pause and take notes as you need to. And then pause and see if you can do the second one, the x squared minus 64. So please pause here. Yes, I know some of you are going to cheat and go on. That's up to you. I guess that's your choice. But please pause and try and do this one on your own. See if you're able to figure it out without my help. And then I'll show you the answer in just a sec. So pause here. All right, so the answer to this one, hopefully you worked it out. Make sure that you change it. This is really x squared plus 0x minus 64. It's 0 because there's nothing there. Make your t-chart, all right? And you can actually kind of get in the habit of just picking out the number that you need to. If it's going to be 0, it has to be the same number. I can't do 1 and 64 because those don't subtract to get 0. I have to have a number minus itself to get 0. So 1 and 64 I know won't work. 2 times 32 won't work. I don't think 3 works. 4, oh goodness, I gotta think in my head now. Let's see, does 4 work? 4 times, what happens when you don't know the math ahead of time? So that's 1, 16, there we go. I know that's not going to work because 16 minus 4 doesn't work. 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, 7 doesn't work. These are my magic numbers. It's the same number twice. And hopefully you can start to get in the habit of getting that immediately because it has to be the same number. Nothing makes 0. Oops, I'm writing the wrong letters now. You can't have anything get 0 if it's different numbers. Okay, and again, the shortcut is that it's always going to be negative. If it's positive, this does not work. So watch out for those positives. They will try and get you with that. But if it's negative, it's automatically one of each. Doesn't matter which one. Boom, there's your answer. So hopefully these special cases are kind of a nice break from the factoring because I know a lot of you struggled with figuring out the signs. These ones are hopefully a little bit easier. Let's kind of jump through the next ones. Hopefully you already have a little bit of idea in your head. Remember, you're looking for the same number twice to get 36. Okay, that means you're really looking for a square root of 36. The only number times itself that gets 36 is 6. Doesn't really matter what the rest of them are because since there's nothing here, it's automatically 0x. Gotta have the same number twice. And it's because it's minus 36. I have to have one of each sign. Doesn't matter which one, just put one on each. Okay, again, 6 minus 6 is 0. 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. Okay, this is a big review of your factoring section. Okay, see if you can do the last one. Hopefully you can quickly do this in your head. Pause, write it down, give me at least your good guess, and then press play when you're ready to see the answer. So pause now. Do it. All right, it's 0x here. That's my big red flashing light in my brain. This is a special factoring case. I have to have the same number twice to get 144. Well, that's 12. 12 is the square root of 144. It's minus 144. If it was plus, then this whole thing is crap. It doesn't work. Okay, but since it's minus, it's going to work. It's going to be okay. Gotta have one of each sign. Positive 12 times negative 12 equals negative 144. That's times. And then positive 12 minus 12 equals 0. Those are the two numbers I was shooting for. Okay, and I keep forgetting to write my y equals. That actually is important. I need to go back and change that on all of those. Make sure you put that. My bad. There we go. Okay, pause here, copy down the notes on that, and then we're going to move on to the other kinds of special cases. A couple more examples to show you on that. All right, now, this is not the same thing, so don't you dare try and do x plus a number times x minus a number. It's not going to work that way. Yes, I know 9 is a perfect square, but we have something in the middle here. This is not 0. So let's go back to our regular process. All right, well, I've got 1 times 9. 3 times 3, those are my only options for 9. Get my double bubbles ready. Y equals, x goes here, x goes here. All right, now in your head, which number am I trying to get those numbers to add up to? That would be the 6. Well, 1 plus 9 is 10. No go. 3 plus 3 is 6. Perfect. Okay, now, this is where the tricky part comes in, because I know a bunch of you are automatically going to put plus minus because you've been doing it for the last few problems. Do not just mindlessly fill in the blanks. Think through it, okay? Plus 3 minus 3 does not equal 6. That is not our goal here. We're not trying to get 0. We're trying to get an actual number. All right, well, I'm trying to get positive 9, so that means I need the same signs this time. It's either plus plus or minus minus. Well, positive 3 plus 3 equals 6. Negative 3 minus 3 equals negative 6. I want that guy. Now, normally we're done there. That's the end of our factoring problem. However, when you have the same thing written twice, what is that? If I do 2 times 2, I can rewrite that as 2. Hopefully you're saying it in your head. Squared. That means I can actually reduce this down to x plus 3 squared. And you do need... Alright, let me repeat that last thought. I got a little bit cut off on that section. What I was saying was, this is repeated just like this would be, so you do have to simplify it down to that. Okay, so just make sure that if it's the same thing written twice, obviously if it was plus 3 minus 3, that's not the same. But if it's plus 3 twice, you got to shrink it down to this so that it's totally simplified. All right, pause there if you need to. Take notes. All right, last example. Be careful with this. You got a sign here that's a little different. It's not 0x. We're still going to follow our same process. So 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, 6 times 6. Okay? Follow your same process. It is not 0x in the middle, so please don't follow that same routine we were doing at the beginning. Make sure to use that brain. Think through what you're doing. You're trying to multiply to get positive 36, but also add to get 12. All right, well, 1 plus 36, that's 37. Doesn't work. 2 plus 18, that's 20. That doesn't work. 3 plus 12 is 15. Doesn't work. 9 plus 4, 13, doesn't work. 6 plus 6, ding, ding, ding. There's our 12. Okay, now watch your signs. Do not just blindly put plus minus. You're trying to multiply to get a positive 36. So that means you need same signs or different signs. Hopefully in your head you said same signs. That means it's either plus 6 times plus 6 or negative 6 times negative 6. They both equal positive 36, but I'm trying to also add to get negative 12. Well, positive 6 plus positive 6 is positive 12. Negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12. Hey, look at that. That's probably the one we need, which means they are both negative. Okay, now again, hopefully you've got some alarms going off in your brain because you have the same thing written twice. So shrink it down. One little extra step. If you have the same thing multiplied by itself, change it to a squared. That's what squared means. It's times itself. All right, pause, rewind, do whatever you need to go back. Here are some other ones to practice, which means you should pause, try them, okay, and then when you are done, check back because I'm going to write the answers just now. I'm not going to go through all the work for it because this is your practice. You should be able to do it, but do it and check in just a sec. So pause now. Do it. Pause. All right, this is the answer. First one should have been x plus 2 squared. Second one should have been x plus 8 times x plus 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 plus 8 is 16. Shrink it down, get it to squared. All right, those should have been your answers. The next section down at the bottom is your homework to work on, so obviously I will not give you the answers for that. They should look like those problems though. Okay, but there's the answers for that little section. Hopefully that gave you a few examples to look back to help you out.